Andrew has called from Bristol. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Sheila. I feel disappointed because I feel we're being gaslit. I mean, I use that term quite a lot now. I would describe myself as on the far left. I believe in, property is theft. I don't, I think we should. No, I don't think that works. But ideally, I think we should just give people, as much as what they need, and fairly distribute wealth, I think some people need more money than others to pursue their things. I've never voted Conservative. I hate the Conservatives. But now, like, for instance, say there was a stabbing in Reading during COVID, I think it was, 2020, where a failed asylum seeker who was only young from Libya stabbed 3 gay men to death.
Yes.
Now, I feel under threat from Islamic extremism. Your statistics, 75% of the threat of terrorism comes from Islamic extremists, and they're not indigenous in terms of, it's not our indigenous religion. It's been introduced to the country. It poses a threat to me. A poll found that a few years ago that 50% of Muslims think homosexuality should be criminalised, and now I don't feel under threat from the far right. I've not experienced homophobia, but I feel that the elite, as they call it, I don't know what term to use, or people that are in, council and everything, telling us, we're not allowed to offend various groups of people. Well, we're being offended and under threat. And I don't think certain belief systems, not just Islam, I don't think they're compatible with other people's values. Like, I grew up in a strict Christian cult, and that's incompatible with my values. I had to leave because the Bible, it was the Plymouth Brethren, an extreme version. We weren't allowed to watch television, listen to the radio. My mum would come and collect us from people's houses if she saw us watching television there, and I had to go to church 5 times a week. So I know what extreme religion is like. And I had to leave Christianity because it says, you should be put to death if you're gay.
Yeah.
And I feel that we're being told we have to tolerate all these different people.
Well, just to be clear, Christianity does not say that.
No, the
Plymouth Brethren might.
The Bible, which some Christians believe the Bible is infallible, which means they believe the Old Testament, where it says if a man lie with another man, he should be put to death. And I feel we're being told, that these things are compatible when they're not.
All right, but
it's not just religion.
All right, but there's the small matter. There's the small matter of the New Testament as well, isn't there? I don't know. Which is...
Oh, I agree. As a Christian, I took this perspective. Like, there's enough verses like "Judge not, lest ye be judged." But the fact is, I was subject to extreme homophobia in my family by that, people ranting. It wasn't very often, but just sodomites and that.
And can I bring it?
It is in the Bible.
So I did say at the beginning, I did quote those percentages from the head of MI5 about the larger chunk of work they do is, significantly larger. It's 75% of it against extremism and terrorism is against Islamist extremism and terrorism.
Yeah, so why are we concerned about the far right in this sense?
Andrew, we can be concerned about both. Both are heinous. That's why.
5% of the threat.
You're not listening. You're just, I'm so sorry that we have and do and will continue to talk about Islamist extremism. The idea that we don't is crazy. Well, we do. But I understand why you would feel personally pained by some of the homophobia that you have received, and you've been on the receiving end of. And I would understand why you would be personally aggrieved and concerned about some of the teaching that comes out of elements of Islam. But again, the risk there is that you just describe all Muslims as extreme simply because they follow that religion. I'll give you a quote from Tommy Robinson himself on this that takes us into that dangerous territory. He said this about the 7/7 attacks, or after them. Every single Muslim watching this on 7/7, you got away, watching him speaking, on 7/7, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. You had better understand that we have built a network from one end of the country to the other. And the Islamic, not Islamist, the Islamic community will feel the full force of the English Defence League if we see any of our British citizens killed, maimed or hurt on British soil ever again. Now that warning from him takes in all of the Islamic community, all of it, every Muslim. everyone. That's extremism. Carl in Preston. Hello, Carl.
Hi, Sarah. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Second time I called, because last time I was the one who said I could put a blue rosette around my dog and it'll get voted in. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't think I do. Oh, dear. Where were we talking about? Which constituency?
We're talking about Preston in Lancashire, North Preston in Lancashire. All farmland and everything like that.
Right.
So, anyway, my point is, I'm an avid news watcher and everything like that. So, but if you go back for 124 years, this is history repeating itself. The rise of the far right. It happened in Italy, Germany. So much so it could have happened in Russia with Stalin, etc. Then, of course, you had the rise of the Japanese. They're not doing it this time, but we're worried about China. They want to take back Taiwan, everything like that. This is just history repeating itself. And last time this happened, 60 million people died. That is scary.
Well, we don't have to let history repeat itself, do we?
Well, hopefully not. But, as I said to you, research when I called in, there's people that I know on Facebook that have turned so right-wing, and we all went to a multicultural school. I'm 61, and these are people that I went to school with. Our best mates were Indian, Pakistani, Bengali. It didn't matter. We were just kids. But now it just seems that someone's drummed into everybody. It all comes back to the boats, I think. Let them come, what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do at this precise moment in time. You can't sink them or anything like that because it's wrong. But the main thing is that if we let the likes of Mr. Robinson, etc., just take over, this country is going to be in serious, serious trouble. And it is wrong.
Well, and not just Tommy Robinson. We have to be clear-eyed about extremism wherever it comes from.
Yeah, well, if you look at some of the speeches done by Cyril Braverman, that stirred up a lot of stuff. It just seems to be so much hatred out there. It's even on the front pages of the Tory press, i.e. the Mail, the Express. The Mail is the most biggest culprit. But the main thing is that, this is damn scary. And, a lot of, everybody out here, 98% of people out in this beautiful country that we live in are law-abiding citizens. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is or anything. But to poke and make fun and go and hit someone just because of their religion is wrong. If we get the right wing to take over, everyone's calling Mr. Trump a fascist, and this is just history repeating itself.
What do we do? What do we do to try and make sure that our political discourse, this isn't about taming political discourse, because one of the shouts that comes from Tommy Robinson and people who support him is free speech is dead. So this isn't about silencing people. It should never be about silencing people. There can be reasons when, like my previous caller, there can be legal reasons where you have to be careful about something, and that that's all to the good. But what do we do to make sure that people can have a robust say about issues, whether it's immigration or anything else, even if those things can make us uncomfortable? Because there are people, you can see it in the American elections. There are people talking about women's right to control their bodies, which you and I might see as perfectly sound, sensible statements, but somebody else in America with, deep evangelical Christian beliefs where they follow the letter of the law will say, no, what you are saying is murder children. They will hear it completely differently. So this isn't about silencing people. It's about being able to have conversations where we are uncomfortable with what the other is saying, but we allow for it and engage with it. I think like I did with my first caller, Lee.
Yeah.
And he with me, to be fair to Lee, and him with me as well.
Yeah.
It's important, but it's important that we keep that terrain open, isn't it?
It certainly is, but if you can remember, a few years ago there was a program about Belmarsh Prison, And on that programme, Mr. Robinson was actually inside there, and he had to go on a special wing, and they had to keep the doors open because he was terrified. And he had to go on a special secure wing where the Muslim or black population could not get to him, and he cried like a baby. So the main thing is that this man isn't as strong as he says. There are weaknesses, but we have to stand up and just say, you're wrong.
Hello, Sally.
Oh, hello, Sheila. I've talked to you before. How are you?
I'm okay, yes, thanks. You?
Good. Fine. Yes, I've been listening to all your callers. I've missed some of them because obviously I haven't been listening to the radio, but I was thinking that this problem of the far right is there are three fundamental drivers of this division in society, this rise of the extremism. I think the one thing that's not helping is the fact we've become a globalist civilization. We have technology which enables people to access tribes, groups, communities from the other side of the world and create their own new community. There's a fragmentation in society. People are there's less community, and the communities then are recreated.
But there are all kinds of reasons for that. All kinds of reasons for the less
community. I agree. I have to be really, really brief about it, so that's why I'm...
Okay.
The fact is that we are very divided at the moment. Not just... We have people who are travelling the world. There's people who are displaced, people who are alienated from their communities through war or famine or whatever. So the world is going to have more migration. The people in, say, some communities feel very threatened because where resources are very limited, people are coming in to take those resources, and of course there's going to be great hostility to that. There is a fundamental hardwired nature of human beings.
But they're also creating resources, many of the people coming in.
But people don't understand that.
Well, they need to be told it. I know, but they need to be told it. Yeah, that's why education is important.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The only way to counter this is education, information. And we have basically, people go on about the Islamic threat. Well, back in the 70s, it was the Baader-Meinhof gang. We also had the IRA gang. My own family was affected by IRA threats back in the 70s. And, this has been human civilization is based on conflict.
Yeah, the problem is that in those days, you're right, but the problem is in those days we didn't have social media. It's the amplification of things, the easy amplification of things that makes things a lot more unstable. Ed is called from Hounslow. Hello, Ed.
Good afternoon, Sheila.
Hello there.
Well, I called in because you had invited anyone who attended the gathering on Saturday to call in. Yeah. So that's why I'm calling in. I attended the gathering. Yeah. And I've attended, this is the third of such gathering, the rallies. Yeah. And I've attended all of them. And when I was there, it's titled as being Uniting the Kingdom. That's what it is. It's not about all ye far left come here or far right come here. We're going to have a big knees up or something. It's uniting the kingdom. That's what it was all about. Mm-hmm. Nothing about far left or far right or anything like that.
And how do we do that? How do we unite the kingdom?
Well, I'll give you an example. When I was there, one of my friends who was there with me is Muslim. Yeah. And I have many friends who are Muslim. Mm-hmm. The same man who was there with me on Saturday at the thing that you're describing as being far right. Hang
on, Ed. Yeah. I'm talking about far right politics generally. I said about the rally on Saturday that it was organised under Tommy Robinson's name. But I imagine, and this is why I'm glad people like you and Lee called, although Lee didn't go, did he? He's just been a follower of him. I wanted people who'd been to call to tell me why they went, because I don't think that everybody there is a frothing extremist. Any more than I think everybody who attends the pro-Palestine marches is a frothing anti-Semite. I think the reason I wouldn't attend it is that there are frothing anti-Semites at it. And then the reason I wouldn't have attended this rally is it's under Tommy Robinson's name, and I do think he is an extremist. I mean, you clearly don't, but I do. I'm not suggesting that every single person there can be described away in one sentence. Not by no means. So I just wanted to make that clear. I want you to continue your thoughts. I'm not making assumptions about every single individual who went to that rally.
Yes, well, I think you're making a lot of assumptions in what you're saying there. I'm not frothing anything. I wasn't frothing
I didn't say
when
you
I was
were.
there. I know you weren't, but I'm just making clear that everybody that's listening, that they will understand that I'm not frothing anything. And I don't think that Tommy Robinson is frothing anything either.
I didn't say he was either. I said he was an extremist, but I didn't say he was frothing.
Well, I disagree with you on that. And the man that I was there with, in fact, just not one man, but the person I was there with, I was referring to a moment ago, who is Muslim, I'm sure if he was on the line with me right now, he would be putting you straight, that you're giving out the wrong message, that Tommy Robinson is not an extremist. He says certain things that are truths. The reason why he's been convicted to prison for 18 months today, your news bulletin is saying that he put out repeated falsehoods or something like that. Actually, it's the opposite. He's been put in prison for telling the truth. Well, if you take a look at the documentary, which I guess you haven't even seen, but those who've seen it will know that it's telling everything the truth that he was forbidden to say. And he was told, if you say these things, we'll put you in prison. And he said them anyway.
But there can be legal reasons why we can't go around saying certain things, Ed. That's not the same as not having free speech. There can be legal reasons why you have to watch your tongue until such time as it's legal to say something. That's not the same as silencing people politically. You do understand the difference, don't you?
What I understand is this. What the truth has been got out.
Greg in Great Dunmow. Hello, Greg.
Hi, good afternoon.
What did you want to say?
I think I just listening to you, and I think it's a lady called Sally who said that the people that are coming into this country and the reason that they are benefiting us, and we need educating for those that don't want it or don't like it. But I think if a percentage of those are, not want ill for this country or aren't very good for us or we don't need them, then we just don't want them at all. If 75% of the MI5 is resources for Islamic or Islamists, that is a big problem. We just don't need them in the first place. We are an island. It should be so easy to protect our borders.
Don't need who?
Well, whoever is coming in, we should be like Australia, shouldn't it? It should be means tested. We just don't need these influx of just randoms and absolute scum.
But you do. Well, hang on. Let's be careful about let's be clear about who we're calling scum.
Anyone, any race, religion, creed, colour. We don't need anyone that we don't need in this country. They're not going to, if they're not a nurse, doctor, architect, whatever. We don't
only need nurses, doctors, and architects, though, Greg.
No, of course we don't. No, we need. As we are an island, it should be so easy. If they come on that beach, if they come in across. We could. It could be very easy. We know where they come. As soon as we see them, we go.
But most of them are. The vast majority are apprehended and processed.
They're not. You know that, Sheila. Come on.
I don't know that.
Yeah, we see it. You can just walk down the streets in London. You can see that there's absolute people we definitely don't need and definitely shouldn't be here.
You can tell by looking at them.
They don't have documentation is because they don't want to know.
Why have you stopped them and asked them for their documentation?
Why don't I?
Well, no, you're making huge assumptions about everybody as though you know their backstory, and I don't think you do. Of course you don't.
We don't know their backstory, and we shouldn't even if they don't have one. As soon as we.
But you don't know the backstory of most people you walk past in the street, Greg.
There is definitely people within our own trouble, but we don't need more.
But you know the 75% that you referred to.
Yes.
You do realise that's just 75% of the workload that MI5 has on extremism.
Yeah.
And I'm not minimising this. This is, and I've said it several times throughout the hour. But 75% of the workload on extremism, is about Islamist extremism.
Yes.
You do,
which could be homegrown as well,
all right,
of course.
But yeah, of course. But you do know that that's not 75% of Muslims. You do know that.
Of course. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Because you're kind of talking as though it is.
No, I have said a few times, I don't mind, I don't care who they are, creed, colour, race, religion, anything. We just, the point of the subject, it should be so easy to just have anyone that you don't need or want. And I don't know if the Daily Mail is true, it's probably not, but the boatloads of people that are coming in as soon as they one foot on the soil, we'll go.
Yeah, it is no way. The line's going terrible, but you're right. It's no. The boats are no way for an immigration or asylum system to operate, because it's, let's not forget, plenty of the people in the boats are seeking asylum. It's no way for it to operate. No way for it to operate. But we have to be able to separate those problems off from a kind of growing sort of panicky rage about groups of people whose lives we don't know. And I'm not saying you're doing this, Greg, but people can very quickly go from distress at what you're seeing on the shores of the South Coast. You can go very quickly from that to seeing any black or brown face in the country and thinking they're the problem. And that's extremism. That's the foothills, sadly, of extremism. It only gets worse from there.